number of deer. Since 2 years ago it was 62 deer that they culled, and last year it was 48, I believe. So we either find out the number that are culled if we count before they cull and subtract that number from the number of deer seen counted, or we wait until after they have culled to count the deer. One or the other.
Hey, Rich, can
I just answered, just real briefly, just to answer your question, Sherry, I'd be willing to ask that question of Tim Coos, and whatever advice he gives us, I would accept. I just stated, does do not migrate much, and so
I disagree with
this,
that. But that's my question.
Yeah.
Is that per season? I'm sorry. Is that in a particular season, or is that over their lifetime?
I think it's one season.
Okay, so it's not season to season. They stay in the same place.
And very frankly, during the winter, when food is scarce, they cover a much greater territory than they do.
They move.
So I think there's no question, I think we all agree that the Ryerson herd is part of, not all of, but part of the Riverwoods herd. I mean, I know that I live in an area that abuts Ryerson. I see the deer coming through. I know that they do. So if Ryerson's going to eradicate a number of deer, that number, and we've counted before they do so, that number's part of is a piece of it.
It's a small piece of it by Marty, whatever his name was.
Yeah,
Well, I gotta
that's what he said.
Excuse me, may I say something? I live on Ryerson. My house backs up to Ryerson. I watch the deer come over my fence, through my property, down my street, down Timberwood Lane, across Deerfield Road, and into your area.
All the time.
With all due respect to both Bill and Sherry on this, I hate to say it, but you're sounding like Sarah Palin being an expert on international affairs.
I can see Alaska.
No.
I can't see Russia.
Bruce,
I just want to say.
wait.
No.
I don't want to be compared to Sarah Palin.
I
However,
don't want to be Sarah compared to Sarah.
I have the floor on this one, so if you just hold on just half a second.
yes, sir.
Thank you. What I was going to say is I would prefer if we would rely on someone who is acknowledged as having expertise in this field rather than anecdotal stories, that's all.
No, I tell you what I see.
No, and all I'm
I know, I'll tell you
saying,
what, Bill, are you an expert in this area?
I can see something.
Bruce, when we did the flyover, the last time we did the flyover, we counted the Ryerson deer.
And this
Okay.
is
I'm just saying we should
That was
rely
in
on
the
someone who
count.
has expertise
But
rather than,
if they don't move 4 feet, we counted the deer in Ryerson as part of this count.
What are we discussing right now?
We're discussing the fact that we're going to find out how many deer Ryerson kills, and if we count before or after, we will either diminish the number or leave it as it stands.
Well, I'm not going to worry about the count of Ryerson. My feeling is do we want 2 counts?
Yes.
I have no objection to 2 counts, Bill.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you want to do urban forest management, or do you want to do, what's his name?
I want to do urban forest management. I'm not happy with Bert's numbers. Wait a minute. Take a look at that. Just take a look at it, Rich.
Number 1, he counts.
I hope these numbers weren't tainted.
Take a look. They are.
Yeah, take it.
I don't have to see these.
Those are the corrected numbers.
It's fine if we do urban forest management.
Okay.
I move that we use urban forest management as the company to do the deer count over 2
consecutive days.
days. I would assume it has to be after a snowfall.
But I would like to
Say anytime there's snow on the
amend it only if they'll take me along.
So long as they take Rich along
And don't drop it.
and leave them in Northbrook.
Okay, don't write for Rich.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I need a roll call vote, please. Thanks for spending money.
I'm sleeping until you pull up, Sarah.
Chamberlain,
Aye.
Granite,
Aye.
Haver. Kunjan,
Aye.
Masterson,
aye.
Svada.
Aye.
There's no price unless you.
No, we got
No, we said-
a proposal, but it's got to be, we've got to get it,
We assume it's going to be 3,000 instead of 1,500, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
Not,
know,
not to exceed.
$2,135
think-
is what he's got for one.
But that's for one. I think we should say not to exceed $3,400. It should come in around 3,000.
That's fine.
That's fine, I have no problem with that.
I think he came up with more than that, though.
Bill has the authority to spend up to $5,000
Okay,
on a
but-
boat. So,
One
Bill,
fly
you
over.
can
Let me just do it.
Okay, whatever.
So I'm curious, why are you counting deer if culling them isn't consideration? Isn't that sort of a waste of money?
Well, obviously, I agree with you, but this is what they want to do.
I don't think
Well,
it's not a
that
consideration.
doesn't mean it's not
It is a
consideration.
consideration. It's something that I think we
Let
as
me
a board-
rephrase it. If it's not under consideration, why spend the money to count the deer until you're ready to make that decision?
I think you need to know how many deer you
We gotta know how
have
many
before
deer.
you can even consider whether to cull it.
The last
In
several
other
years,
words, if we have an excess number of deers, or we feel an excess number of deers, then we will decide to cull. If
we may
feel-
decide to call.
We may decide.
The experts tell us that this area can only support 22 deer, but we have 122 deer, and then we may decide to cull.
I understand. All right, that was what I was looking for. So you're saying if the number comes up significantly beyond what the area can support,
Right.
culling would be a consideration
Absolutely.
among others.
May not happen, but
I
it's
understand that, Bill.
Even
Among
by, even
others.
by,
We need information in order to answer the question.
We're saying
I didn't think the question was, yeah.
There's lots of-
okay. Request for sponsorship, 1.1 zip code for 2010. We have a request, been sitting on my desk for quite a bit, so it's been here for a while, to do a sponsorship for 1.1 zip code for 2010. And I would like to be some sort of a sponsor, silver, gold, or platinum. 500 to 2,500.
May I ask, have we sponsored anything of this type in the past?
No.
No, we haven't,
What is?
but that doesn't mean we shouldn't.
Like a
I think it's a worthwhile cause, and the books are good.
It's just a precedent question,
Very.
just a precedent question.
Does this book get distributed to the members of to the residents in the village?
Yeah, no, what happens is they have it set up at the library, and you walk into the library, and they have a whole bunch of these books. And
We don't have a library.
Exactly. I said the library, not our library.
Is that Vernon?
Oh, no, I used to be the
Yeah.
president of the
I know.
library.
I know. And as I understand it, they're trying to get a lot of people within the zip code. That's another issue for us, but that's another story.
Yes, I know.
To adults and kids alike to read the same book so that they can have discussions. I don't know who started the program, but
I think it's good, it's growing. And
that's all I know.
I'd like to be a sponsor, but again, it depends how much money you want to spend.
So wait, so everyone in the zip code, they're going to try and get people to read this book, A Story of Childhood by Marjane
Yes.
Satrapi?
Yes, and then they have, you know, I don't know how long it lasts, but maybe for a few months they have everybody read this one book, and then there are discussions at the library, at the high school,
I have
and
this
various
book at
other
home,
places.
it's just amazing.
And
Is this
then-
a book that's at the library available for people to borrow?
If you want.
Yes.
But we can't borrow.
Only
If
if
you
you live in Fairfield.
get, exactly.
My wife bought it, she didn't borrow it.
And then after, I don't know, this isn't the first book.
Oh, no.
There've been
The
others.
third what?
Goes on.
How are we going to let our village know about it?
Put it in
People
the
that
village
aren't-
twice.
Huh?
Put it in the village twice.
Put them in
It's in there now, I think.
Could you let the audience know?
Yeah, we don't
have no idea what you're talking about.
Sponsoring
May
this.
we know?
We don't,
Who, yeah, who is the money being
Is
paid?
it a book club? What is it?
No.
Oprah.
it's like,
Oh, she's coming.
It's a community-wide reading program for the villages of Bannockburn, Deerfield, and Riverview.
Everyone in the zip code,
Everybody in
6115,
Who are we giving the
6015.
money to?
to this organization.
the
What's the
210,
What?
one book, one